This photo illustrates how the tie rod, yellow arrow, connects the steering rack via pitman arm and drag link to the steering knuckle by a ball joint on the knuckle, red arrow, and the drag link, green arrow. When checking the condition of the ball joints, the first place to check is the rubber protective boot. This boot has failed a long time ago and all the grease has escaped, red arrow. The ball joint should have been replaced long before it got to this condition. Make sure to check the condition of the inner ball joint as well, as indicated by the red arrow. Even though it is protected from the elements a little better than the outside joint, they still do get ripped and fail. To remove the ball joint, use a 5mm Allen, yellow arrow, to keep the joint from turning, while using a 17mm wrench to remove the nut on the joint, red arrow. Ball joints are held in place with a surprising amount of force, and while you can whack away at the top of the joint with a hammer, you really run the risk of bending and or damaging a part of the suspension and steering components. Make sure to use the proper tool. A ball joint separator will make quick and easy work of separating the joint. Note, do not get any part of yourself around the joint when separating, as it has a tendency to let go with substantial force. Use a 22mm wrench and loosen the securing nut, red arrow. Note, measure the length of the tie rod end to end and count the amount of turns it takes to remove the ball joint from the rod. When reinstalling a new ball joint, screw it in the same amount and remeasure. While you will still need to get an alignment on the car, this will get it close enough that you can drive to the shop. The threads on this ball joint, red arrow, are fine, which means the rod should be good, but the threads are about the only good thing left on this ball joint. When replacing the inner ball joint, yellow arrow, the procedure is the same as the outer, with the exception that the orientation of the joint is upside down. Measure the length of the rod and joint, red arrow. Use a 13mm wrench to loosen the retaining collar and unscrew the inner ball joint from the rod. Installation is the reverse of removal. Thanks for watching. Click here to view the original article along with hundreds of other DIY content for your car.